but let me get your thoughts on what you think of this film.
Well, obviously the film is emotional. Having had the honor, I guess you could say, to lead Dawn's memorial at SeaWorld shortly after her death, I knew her very well. I know I've been going to SeaWorld since 1973. And you know, you talk about the term we use at Columbus Zoo and other parks, other water parks, places like SeaWorld, aquariums and zoos, is touch the heart to teach the mind. And I live by that. I've always lived by that since I was a young boy on our farm in Tennessee. So did this documentary touch our heart? The last 30, 40 years, obviously it was on the video there. But the people I can tell you now that work at SeaWorld, from the CEOs down to the trainers, down to the people that serve the food, are all people that love these animals probably just as much as they love their families. When I go around these parks, which I've done, I'm not an employee of SeaWorld. Have I charged for speeches there before? Yes, I have. I went to SeaWorld in 1973, one of the first visitors there. And I've continued to take my kids, their kids now, and hopefully their kids' kids, great-grandkids, and that's 3 or 4 generations going there. If I thought one animal there was being mistreated or wasn't, so to speak, happy, whatever happy is, and of course some of these guys who know a lot about whales are going to tell you what happy is and what happy isn't. But that's what I see when I visit these parks. And you know something? Out of sight is out of mind, which means that the killer whales back at 40 years ago were out there in the oceans of the world. No one knew who they were or what they were. They were out of sight.
But Gabriella, in this particular discussion, when we talk about the value of keeping these creatures in captivity, the lessons that have been learned have reached a point where some scientists say, all right, we learned, now it's time to let them go. Because what we've learned is telling us that these are creatures we really shouldn't have. Is that what you found?
I think that's the strange little ironic thing about it, right? That you know, yes, almost to Jack Hanna's point, you know, yes, we did sort of learn to grow to love them by maybe seeing them up close, and then obviously the data we were able to gather for the scientific community and learning about them. Obviously, there was some of that as well that came from the captive population there, but it seems that the most important thing that we learned from having whales in captivity is, ironically, that they should not be in captivity.
Jack, what about this point that, you know, SeaWorld, of course, really introduced us to these creatures, to these animals, almost where we fell in love, and I think many people would say they did fall in love. But they are now faced with this horrible dilemma that once people have fallen in love, they really care, and they suddenly say, well, if I care, how could it be possible that we keep these animals in a cement pool? How do you answer that, Jack?
Again, I'm not a whale researcher or a whale expert. All I see is what I see at SeaWorld. Animals that seem happy, that are breeding, that are eating. I'm not sure about the lifespans. I know they do their research in the wild, but is there research in the wild 100%? Absolutely not. I've been doing this for 42 years. I've interviewed researchers all over the world about the whale. You know, and I still say that you have to love something to say something. We use the word captivity, by the way. What is captivity, by the way? The entire world are national parks except for Antarctica, the North Pole, and parts of the Amazon, having been to all of these places. The whole world is a national park. It's just that they're smaller when it comes to SeaWorld and maybe the Columbus Zoo, which was one of the largest in the country. But I can tell you now that our new African veldt is not captivity. Our new polar bear exhibit for $26 million is not captivity. I can tell you that the zoos last year in this country and aquariums gave over $150 million to the wilds, to the animals in the wild in 1 year. The Columbus Zoo has given $12 million in the last 10 years to the animals in the wild.
I
get it.
So what I'm getting at, everybody, is yes, there were things done, but not in the SeaWorld today. If it wasn't for these folks, everybody, nobody would know about the killer whale. And I have a saying, touch the heart to teach the mind. If I can't touch your heart some way, or SeaWorld can, or the Columbus Zoo can, or the 221 zoos can, then these animals haven't got a chance. I wish all of you could go to Glacier, way up there in Glacier Bay, and see the whales, or see them in other parts of the world. I wish you could go to Africa and see the lions. I wish you could go to the Himalayas and see the animals there, or into China to see the pandas, or the koala in Australia. I'm very sincere. I wish you could do that, but all of us can't do that. And so to do that costs tens of thousands of dollars, and everybody can't do it. So that's why we have these parks. Unless people are educated, everybody, they can't save anything.